Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Simple. If we've not met before, I'm Lori. I'm really glad you're here today. I found a great sale the other day on some marked down meat that was a great find. Some of that is going to be on the menu this week. I'm also going to try to use up some of my pantry staples so that I can make sure those don't go bad and expire before I use them all up. I'm excited to bring you along, show you what my family is eating for meals this week. I would love to hear down in the comments what you have been feeding your family this week as well. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy these recipes. Let's get into the kitchen and get started. For our first freezer meal, I'm going to cook these turkey sausages. I got them when I was at Target. They had a ton of clearance meat. I think it was like for right after Independence Day. I've never had these before. We'll see how they work out. I'm going to make them with some peppers that have been in my refrigerator for almost too long. I also grew some onions, and they were going bad because I didn't really have a good place to store them, so I chopped them all up and put them in the freezer. So I'm going to use some of them out of my freezer. I'm going to make some coleslaw. I had bought this a week or so ago thinking that I would have it as a side last week, but we didn't. So I'm going to make some coleslaw to go along with our sausages, and the best part about it is this should be a really quick and easy meal to get on the table. I'm going to saute these peppers and onions before I cook the sausages. I just add a little bit of avocado oil. I really should let it heat up first, but it'll be fine. While the peppers and onions are cooking, I'm going to mix together our coleslaw. So I'm just going to use this whole 1 pound, actually it's 14-ounce pack of coleslaw, and I'm going to add probably half a cup of mayonnaise. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of lemon juice and a tablespoon of sugar. You can leave that out. I just like to have a little bit of sweetness in mine. Sometimes I use stevia also. About a teaspoon or two of salt and a little bit of pepper, maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon. Just gonna mix this up until the mayonnaise has coated all of the cabbage. You can also use like apple cider vinegar instead of the lemon juice. Sometimes I'll do that. Just depends on what you have on hand. When we're trying to use up all of our pantry supplies and all of the things that we have available for us already in our house, you might just have to sometimes make some adjustments to a recipe, but Google or Pinterest are really good resources to know what can be a good substitution and what might not work so well. While we're waiting on our sausages to cook, I wanted to talk a little bit about the way to get the most out of your freezer and pantry clean out challenge. I'm really not good at pre-planning and sort of organizing my day in a way that will help me make sure that I get dinner on the table at a reasonable hour. I really need to work on that, and that's something that I'm trying to focus more on as I go through this year. But whenever you're doing a freezer clean out, being on top of things and pulling things out of the freezer in time for them to be thawed and ready to go for your next meal is imperative. We're actually having this meal for lunch on Sundays. So while this meal is cooking, I went ahead and pulled out our meat for tonight's meal. So whenever we get home and everybody's hungry, it'll be time to just throw things together and be ready to eat in no time. If you have a really good plan and you work your plan, cleaning out your freezer and pantry can be a really great part of an overall frugal meal plan that will help you save the most money and use all of the resources that you have available to you. I'm really bad about forgetting things that are in the freezer. Whenever they're out of sight, I just forget about them and then go and buy more and more things, and that's what leads to our freezers getting over full and our pantries getting full of things that we have just overlooked and forgotten about. So that's my goal this week and probably next week, is just to work through all of that stuff that's in my freezer taking up the room. That way I will be able to have it all cleaned out and ready so that I can fill it up with the next great deals that I find at the grocery store. Okay, everything is good and done, so I'm gonna move all of this to a plate. This was such a super quick and easy meal to put together, and it used up a lot of the things that I have been needing to use but just have run out of time for. So I think this is going to be a great start to our pantry and freezer clean out. Okay, it's time for supper tonight, and we are going to have hamburger steaks with brown gravy and onions, and I'm also going to use up some sweet potatoes that I bought last week that I never got around to making. I know this sounds like a theme. It really is a theme. I buy things and then get too tired to deal with them, and then they end up going bad. But not this week. I'm going to use up all that I have as much as I can so that I don't waste any food. This is the hamburger meat we're going to use. I got this at Target also. It was $3, marked down to $3 from $10, and it is over a pound, so 1 1/3 pound for $3. That was a great deal. So I'm going to cook up 8 of these. That will give me plenty of leftovers for lunch, and then I'm going to chop up some onions to saute. I'm going to start by peeling my sweet potatoes, and then when I'm close to being ready to put them in the skillet, I'm going to melt a half a stick of butter. That's going to be what I cook the sweet potatoes in. So I'm going to allow that to start melting while I get these sweet potatoes ready to cook. Okay, now I'm going to chop up my sweet potatoes into small chunks. Actually, I think I will do them in small slices. I'm really hoping that these cook soon because I am super hungry. Of the sweet potatoes up, because we are very real and admit mistakes here, I let my butter burn. We're just going to hope for the best. I'm not going to pour it out and start over. So I'm going to cook those on medium-high heat with the lid on for about 10 minutes or so and allow them to soften. I'll stir it every now and then. While all of that is cooking, I'm going to chop up these onions. You can see that I've had these onions for probably way too long, but when you have something like this, you don't have to throw it away. You can just sort of peel off the parts that are not usable and then get to sort of the inner part that is usable so that you don't waste all of that money that you spent buying the onions to begin with. Now you can see that I'm sort of getting some of the nasty on the onion, so I'm going to rinse it before I start chopping it. That way I will be starting with a clean, healthy, and safe onion. I'm going to chop these onions up so that whenever the hamburgers are done, we can saute them and then we can make the brown gravy, which is probably my favorite part. These are softening up really good and quickly, so that's good. If you're in a hurry, you just chop them a little fine, or you just cut them a little smaller than you normally would, and it will cook up a little quicker. You can see on some of them how they're starting to sort of turn brown. That's what you're looking for. Whenever they get good and soft, I'm going to add some sugar, maybe a little bit more butter to finish them off. But right now they're doing really well. I don't really know the best way to do this. I don't know if I should drain some of this or not, but I'm just going to cook the onions in all of these drippings, and then I will assess and see how many I have left, how much I have left in the pan, to see if there's enough for the brown gravy. Off now, I'm going to add another half stick of butter. I'm gonna add 2/3. No, I think I'll just stop at 1/3 cup of sugar. I'm gonna stir this in and see how we're doing. I probably should have called my mom before attempting this recipe. It just feels like the right thing to do, to add just a little bit of salt. That may be the absolute wrong thing to do, so y'all check the comments. My mama will tell me if she adds salt to them or not. Good. They'll be done in just a few minutes. I'll just keep an eye on them and keep stirring them. Okay, now let's check in on the onions. They're cooking up nicely, but they have a little bit to go. The onions are almost done, so it's almost time for us to make our brown gravy. I've got 2 cups of water, and I'm going to mix in 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to do this to try to prevent it from clumping up when I put it in the hot skillet in the oil. You can try to just add it into the skillet by itself, each ingredient by itself, but I think this might be a better and safer way to go so that you don't get a lot of clumps in the end. Okay, I think the onions are good and soft, so I'm going to pull them out, and I'm just going to try to drip drain as much as I can. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. My family is having a fun family night, so you'll have to excuse that. I'm just going to put it on this platter with the hamburgers. I could make the sauce with the onions, and that's something that you can consider doing at your house, but not everybody likes onions, so I'm going to separate them. That way it won't prevent anybody from eating the gravy. Okay, so I've got my onions on my hamburger platter. Now I'm going to remove some of this grease. Not a lot, but just a little. That leaves me a little less than a tablespoon. I think that's perfect. I'm going to give my roux a good stir and then whisk it in. You can also use beef broth instead of the 2 cups of water. You could use 2 cups of beef broth. I don't have any beef broth, so I just had to go the water route. I'll just continue to whisk this until it thickens up. I like mine extra salty, so I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. I didn't salt the hamburgers. You can also do that while you're cooking, and that would add a little bit of flavor to the sauce. Okay, the gravy is thickened up now, so this was the last thing we were waiting for. We're all ready to eat. One thing that a pantry or a freezer clean out will do is make sure that you have sort of an unusual or surprising mix of things at one time. I really never would have thought to have these sweet potatoes with hamburgers or hamburger steak, but I think it's going to turn out really good. And either way, as long as everything that you have is really tasty. That really is all that matters in the end. I wish this gravy was a darker brown, but I'm not sure if that's because I didn't add Worcestershire sauce or if it's because I didn't have the beef broth, but either way, I think it'll be just fine, and I'm really excited about trying it out. This morning, Lane and I are going to put together some sourdough pancakes for breakfast. We have all of the ingredients that we need in our pantry and refrigerator. This recipe also uses eggs and milk, which we have in abundance here because of our cow and our chickens. So this is pretty much going to be a zero cost meal for us. I know that we did have to pay for the ingredients, but you know, when you don't have to pay for them this week, it's sort of like they're free. So let's get started making our pancakes.
I'm going to crack the eggs too.
You want to crack the eggs?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that first, and we'll do that in a separate bowl just to make sure they're safe.
Mommy, I cracked my eggs.
Okay, crack it right here.
Oh.
Crack it on the side of the bowl.
Mommy, I make a really cool.
Let's see how this one is. Yes.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome. Can you put it in here? Good job.
Mommy, there's 2 eggs.
2 eggs, that's right. Now we're going to add 1.5 cup of milk.
Oh, yes.
And then we need 1 cup of our sourdough starter. If you don't have sourdough starter, you can just add a little more flour and a little more milk or water, and it will turn out just fine. This is just a good way to use your sourdough discard.
What is that?
This is sourdough starter. I've forgotten to feed mine for the last couple of days, so she's a little bit not very active right now, but this will help me empty out the bowl so I can feed her another.
Ew.
That's an egg.
Mommy,
Okay.
it's yucky.
It is? Well, look, you can stir it up. Now, we're going to add 2
Mommy,
tablespoons
I can do it faster.
of sugar. We need
yucky.
2 cups of flour. We need 4 teaspoons of
Mommy,
baking powder. And then we need 1 teaspoon
ew.
of baking soda.
Ew. Baking soda. I don't want baking soda, Mommy.
You don't?
No, I don't.
It doesn't taste good. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, can you dump in the butter that you've already licked half of?
No.
This is what happens when toddlers help you cook. They eat the butter. Okay, can you dump that in there, please?
No. Oh.
It went in. Now, let's see if we can get this good and stirred. You hold the top and I'll hold the bottom. Okay, you're not going to get all of the clumps out of pancake batter. It's just the way it is. So I think this is pretty good. If we let it sit for just a little while, maybe a minute or 2, let it rest, it'll be ready for us to pour into our waffle maker. Now we have a small waffle maker, so this is going to make quite a lot, and it tends to take a while. We also have a larger waffle maker that will make like 4 at a time. That is the one that I will link down below in case you don't have a waffle maker. If you can't find one at the thrift store, I'll try to find an inexpensive but good quality one so that you can have one at your house. Okay, you ready?
No, I'm ready.
You gonna help me pour it in? Be very careful not to get close to the hot.
Oh no.
We put too much.
No.
Whoops. Okay, let's check and see if it's done. You ready?
It's
It's done! Yay! Let's get it off of the waffle iron and put it on your plate. Thank you. Okay, you ready? We're going to pour a little bit of syrup.
It's cold.
It is cold. Mama had it in the refrigerator. Are Mickey waffles your favorite?
Yeah.
What do you like about Mickey waffles?
They're acting.
Makes you think about Disney World? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy your waffle. Thanks for helping me make it.
You're welcome.
I love you.
And Muffin.
It's time for supper. Tonight we've decided we're gonna have barbecue chicken dip and some sides to go with it. I'm making some rice, and also I think I'm gonna try to bake some asparagus. Full disclosure, I don't really know how to make asparagus, but I bought some and I felt like I would use it, and I haven't used it yet, and it's been there so long that it's sort of gotten freezer burn. So I'm not sure if frozen asparagus is good when it's not freezer burned, but I'm not really holding out much hope on this one. I'm gonna put this asparagus in the oven first, and then we'll get busy making our buffalo chicken. I'm just gonna sort of lay it out. Cover it with some avocado oil, or olive oil would work too, I think. I mean, I'm sitting here acting like I'm an expert and I don't have any idea what I'm doing. But I just have avocado oil. That's the only reason I'm using that. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with some salt. I'm sort of doing it like I normally do broccoli and hoping for the best. So I'm going to put this in the oven. The oven is preheating to 350. It probably needs to be a little higher, so I think I'm going to bump it up to about 400. I'm just going to put all of the ingredients into the bowl for my buffalo chicken and mix it up all at one time. So I've cooked up several chicken breasts. I'm going to use about probably 4 of them. That'll leave me 2 more for another dinner this week. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of cottage cheese, 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. This is like sharp cheddar, but you can use whatever kind of cheese you want. I'm gonna add 1 block of cream cheese that I've chopped up. It's been sitting out for maybe about 20-25 minutes or so. So it's softened, but it's not like really soft. And then depending on how spicy or flavored you want this, you can adjust the amount of hot sauce that you add. The last time I made this, I didn't put near enough, so I'm gonna add at least 1/2 cup. If you're really brave, you can go up to a full cup. That's like 2/3. That's what I'm gonna go with. Okay, I'm not a fan of using a hand mixer. Okay, anyway, that's not the way I would recommend doing it. Just shred your chicken first, and then you can mix it all with a spoon. Or use your KitchenAid, and that would probably work good. I've seen people that know what they're doing shred up chicken with their hand mixer, but I don't know. I was doing something wrong because it was going everywhere. I sort of altered the recipe, which is pretty common for me to not follow a recipe. So hopefully this will turn out okay. Now I'm going to put it in my baking dish. I don't really know what size this is. It's probably like the equivalent of an 8x8. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more cheese on the top. Kelsey's over to the side telling me what I'm supposed to be doing, and I wasn't supposed to put that much cheese in there. I'm going to bake this at 400 degrees until all of the cheese is nice and melted, probably about 25 minutes. How did that turn out? I feel like I might have nailed the recipe for asparagus. Hopefully. And this looks so yummy. I'm really excited about this comfort food for the night. I have been so tired today. I don't know why, but I have not wanted to do anything, and this is exactly how I want to finish this day. And my rice, that never turns out looking good. It just really looks like a clump of mush. So I need to just use the Instant Pot for my rice and quit trying to make it myself. I was gonna eat on this small plate, but I'm not sure if my asparagus will even fit on this small plate. This looks delicious. If you don't want to eat this with rice, you can eat it with like tortilla chips or pita chips. Something like that would be just fine, and it would be really good, like Fritos. Even though I don't love the ingredients in Fritos, you can't deny the fact that they are delicious with some buffalo chicken dip. So here is our dinner for tonight. I think it is gonna hit the spot. Look what I found at the thrift store today. A new bread maker. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. And I was able to get this one for less than $7, which is a lot cheaper than the one that I have found on Prime Day that I really wanted to get, but didn't feel quite sure about spending $130 on it. So now I can practice and see if I really will like to have a bread maker, and then if I don't like this one, I can send it back to the thrift store and get one that I really do like. So I'm going to, for dinner tonight, make a new loaf of bread in my new bread maker, and I'm also going to cook up some things with my bananas, because I don't know if you can see these gnats flying around, but I have these bananas that are squishy and old and attracting gnats, so I've got to make something with them too. Also have to make dinner tonight, so it's 4:30. I'm running out of time, and I'm gonna get busy in the kitchen while Lane is finishing up his nap, starting on my bread maker. Okay, I've gathered all my ingredients, and I'm not sure the best angle to give y'all, but I also found the owner's manual online. So just a little tip that you probably already know, but if you find something used and you don't really know exactly how to use it, or you need to troubleshoot something that you didn't realize was going to be a problem, you can just Google the model number, which is normally on the bottom, and it will tell you exactly what to do to fix it. I couldn't get this little paddle thing to come out, and I wanted to make sure that it did come out and that I wasn't trying to like force something apart, but the bread was just sort of stuck in there, and that's why it wouldn't come out. But Chris helped me manhandle it out of there. I've cleaned everything. It's ready to go. So I found the recipe on the website for this model in particular. So I'm gonna start adding all my ingredients. It says 1/3 cup of water, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, but I'm just gonna use honey, which might mess it up, especially considering I just did that without measuring, but I can't help it. It's just, I can't help myself. Okay, 1/4 cup of oil or butter. I've got avocado oil here. That's what I have on hand right now. So I'll pour that in. And then 4.5 cups of flour. Okay, and it said, when I read the owner's manual, it said be sure not to let the yeast mix in with the water. So it said to make like a little well for the yeast to go in, and to add 1 3/4 tablespoon of yeast. Okay, that's all the ingredients. I'm going to close that, and Medium or dark? I think I want medium. Now maybe just push start. Wonder what H means. Let me see. Okay, let's try this again. Press the cycle button until your desired cycle is displayed. Okay, that's what I want. Press the loaf size button. Press the crust button. Press start and stop. Okay, we're gonna have to troubleshoot. This is not working. I was really thinking I had just wasted $7, but it's on and it's going, so I'm gonna let it do its thing. And I'm gonna get busy doing my other stuff. So on to the banana recipes. I think maybe I will just make like some banana muffins. I'm not really feeling banana bread, but I think if I have banana muffins for breakfast in the morning, that will be a hit. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, now I'm gonna make up some muffins using these ripe bananas. My bread maker that's running right now and making bread for me while I'm doing something else is not gonna bother you, I hope. I'm really excited about this experiment to see if it works out good, because I said in my Prime Day video that I really do want to be the person that has homemade bread ready all the time, but I'm just not in a position to have a lot of extra time to spend on that. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to help me be able to keep up with the amount of bread that we consume here without it being like laborious and time consuming. So anyway, if you haven't seen that Prime Day video, you don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'll link it here. That way you can go and check it out if you want to. Okay, now on to our bananas. Got my bread machine going and hopefully it will work like it's supposed to. I'm gonna double this recipe because I have this whole bunch of bananas. You can also just freeze bananas, like take the peel off and maybe cut them in half and put them in a Ziploc bag, and that will preserve them for smoothies or anything else that you want to use them for later. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to make these for breakfast in the morning. So the recipe calls for 2/3 cup of melted butter. I'm just going to use some more of this avocado oil. 3/4 cup of sugar. That's a lot of honey. I'm not sure that I need that much because that would be 1.5 cups, doubling the recipe, but those bananas are already so sweet. I don't think I need that much. 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I got this from Trader Joe's. This is the last little bit of that. It calls for 2 eggs. I think I'm gonna do 4 just because I have so many eggs and it's just gonna help boost the protein in the muffins. So you can do 2 and it should work out just fine. Did I tell y'all about the snake that was in my chicken coop? I went to gather the eggs. I'm so glad it wasn't laying. And I looked in, I was about to put my hand in the nesting box to get the eggs, and there was a 6-foot snake. Scared me to death. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And the last ingredient is 3 cups of flour. Since I'm still thinking about my hand mixer from last night making that buffalo chicken dip, I think I will just try to use it on these muffins to redeem myself. That buffalo chicken dip, I'm looking at it right now on my wall. above my counter where it just got everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna mix this up. Okay, I still don't like a hand mixer. So I've given it a good try. I think I've just decided I don't like using a hand mixer. It got on my shirt, it got on the wall again. I don't know, maybe there's like a dummy's guide to using a hand mixer, but I don't know obviously how to do it. Okay, now I'm going to go get my cupcake pan and put these into the muffin tins. I've been saving my butter wrappers for just an occasion like this. So I'm going to use this butter wrapper to sort of grease. I don't think a bread maker is supposed to make that noise, so I'm sort of thinking that I may have bought a broken bread maker. Okay, anyway, what I was saying, I don't really like to buy like Pam spray. First of all, it's really expensive, and second of all, I don't like the ingredients in it. So this is just an easy way to use something that you would normally throw away as something very useful. I'm gonna make some large and some tiny. I think Lane will like the little one. I'm gonna use this 1/4 cup measuring cup and see how much it feels. I think I probably need like 1/2 cup in each, maybe a little less. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be making this noise, and this is why you get back what you pay for sometimes. Now, sometimes you're gonna get a stellar deal at the thrift store, but sometimes there is a reason, and it's not just people are cleaning out. There's a reason that people send things to the thrift store. But I have a theory that maybe this just needs a little bit of oil in the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna have to get Chris, the Mr. Fix-It on here to look at this. Okay, this might be a $7 experiment that is gonna quickly run out of real estate here, but anyway, we shall see.
Mommy,
I got a little bit distracted and let them get too brown, but it's okay. I also had them sitting on a cookie sheet, so that's why they're like uneven.
Oh, wow.
But I don't want you to touch it, it's hot. But I think these are going to be really good for in the morning, so.
I'm hungry. I want those.
You want one now?
Yeah, I
Okay.
want one now.
Let's let them cool. Okay, I've done some thinking, and I think I'm gonna make some sloppy joes for dinner tonight. We have some hamburger buns left over from our 4th of July party, and if we want bread, we have that. We don't always have bread when we have the sloppy joes, so I don't even know if anybody's gonna want that. But I also got some applesauce out of the pantry. I'm gonna heat that up, put a little bit of sugar and cinnamon and butter in that to sort of zhuzh it up a little bit. And then also I have some corn that I'm gonna heat up. That's gonna be a really quick and easy meal that everybody is gonna like. So I'm gonna get started making that. The first thing I'm gonna need to do is brown my ground beef. I'm gonna let that brown up, and then I'm gonna get the sides ready. Canned corn is about the easiest option for a side dish. I know that some people think corn is not very healthy, but I got this from Trader Joe's. And first of all, look how cute the container is. It looks like it came from the old general store about 120 years ago, which made me want to buy it even more. But the good thing about everything at Trader Joe's is nothing is GMO. So I know that this is a good quality corn that doesn't have any GMO ingredients. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter, maybe like half a tablespoon. And I'm just gonna let that heat up until the butter melts and the rest of the food is ready, and then it'll be ready to go. I'm gonna heat this applesauce up. I know that we're not gonna eat all of this, but I just buy the unsweetened applesauce so that I can control the amount of sugar that I put in it. I'm gonna put some sugar and some cinnamon. Whatever doesn't get eaten tonight, I will just put it back in the container and put it in the refrigerator. It'll be good for at least another week. I'm gonna add like maybe a 1/4 cup of sugar, probably a couple of teaspoons of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm gonna stir that together. I'm gonna heat this up in the microwave. You can heat it up on the stove top if you prefer. Okay. The ground beef is all cooked up and browned really nicely, so now it's time to add all the ingredients. I'm just going to add probably half a cup of mustard, and we'll start with half a cup of ketchup. Actually, we'll add 3/4 cup of ketchup. 1/4 cup of sugar. I know that some of y'all are judging me right now about all of the sugar that I have used in these recipes, but it's just the way I cook. I'm from the South. We like things sweet. We like things that are well seasoned, and I just think sugar makes things taste better, and it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt anything as long as you don't like go crazy with it. So let's see how this goes. I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna add a little bit of onion powder, not much, just like a 1/4 of a teaspoon. And now that's ready to go. The corn is warm, the applesauce is heated. So this was like a 10-minute meal. Really super easy and quick, and it didn't cost anything because all of the stuff was in the pantry and refrigerator already, and it all needed to be used up. We're going to have a nice, enjoyable dinner that didn't take a lot of time and certainly didn't cost a lot of money. It did bake a loaf of bread without me having to do anything. So that's exciting. Let's pull it out and see how it looks. Yay! It makes a huge piece of bread. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do about that, but I guess this is, you know, pretty much like what they sell in the bags of bread at the store that are like sort of more specialty breads. Like the Pepperidge Farm breads seem to be in this size of a loaf, so let's see what it looks like when you cut it. It's really soft, and it's done all the way through, so that's good. I'm really pretty happy about it. I mean, I wish it didn't make a noise like it does. Maybe that can be repaired or fixed. I will let you know in next week's video what I think about it after I've used it a couple of times. That probably will be a better assessment, but I'm really excited to have a bread maker in my kitchen again. I used to have a really good one, and I sold it because I thought I would not need it anymore. But anyway, for now, this is a really good use of a couple of minutes and some pantry items. I'll leave the recipe that I used down below, but I'm not sure if it's specific to this bread maker. I don't think it is. I think it would pretty much work in any 2-pound loaf bread maker, so I'll make sure and leave that down below.
Good.
Are you ready to try a muffin?
Yum.
Okay, let's see what you think.
Yummy.
It's yummy?
Yum.
Oh, good. Well, I sure have enjoyed making all of these freezer and pantry clean out meals. I appreciate you watching today. I hope that this was helpful to you in some way. Maybe you have some of the same ingredients in your pantry and have been looking for a way to use them. I would love to hear the things that you tend to stock up on. Also, be sure to check out next Friday's video as well. I'm going to continue my freezer and pantry clean out, so that's just going to continue into next week's video, finding new and exciting ways to use all of this food that I've stored up over the past couple of months. So be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified when that video comes out as well. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.